The road to WrestleMania is officially upon us, but WWE is not the only company that has major things going on right now. We're going to talk AEW. We're going to talk New Japan. But of course, we're going to talk about the road leading to WrestleMania, the Elimination Chamber, a historic event, which we didn't think we would ever say. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. All of that and more on this edition of the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. The bomb drops now.
What's up, all of you friendly, nice, amazing people?
Oh, hi, everyone. We love you so much.
You guys are the best.
It's TSF.
Was it real though?
100 not.
Oh my god.
And you're listening to the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast.
Thank you, TSF, and hello. Welcome to this edition of the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, the show that is for the fans, by the fans. I'm your phenomenal host, Mr. Podcasting Chris Belcher. The young buck, Mr. Andy York, is with me. And Andy, what a weekend of wrestling it was. Not just WWE wrestling.
Yeah, Saturday night was a lot of fun. We watched, obviously the Elimination Chamber happened, and then directly after that, even during the main event, was Battle in the Valley. I think if you didn't know, Battle in the Valley had a lot of streaming problems. Like the first 45 minutes, there was like a 45-minute delay.
Oh, wow.
I figure they did that on purpose so everybody could watch the main event of Elimination Chamber
Sure.
and then come over and watch them. But it was a fun night of wrestling, and a lot of thoughts that I'm sure we're going to talk about because I have a lot of feelings about a lot of things, so it's going to be a lot of fun to dive into and talk about.
That's why we have this podcast.
Exactly.
We are here for you each and every Friday. Wherever you find your podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like the video on the BodySlam.net YouTube channel. Subscribe to our feed. Leave us a 5-star review. We'd appreciate it. And follow us at PBWP Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right, let's get into it. Before we get into the new school, the current, let's go old school. Old School 101 this week. Andy, what do we got?
So today, actually, of recording is the Nature Boy's 74th birthday. So happy birthday to what many consider the greatest of all time. He's absolutely in my top 4, probably of greatest of all time, at least in ring greatest of all time.
Sure.
So he's 74 today. Obviously, when you think of professional wrestling, there are like 2 or 3 names that instantly pop into your head.
Yep.
Flair's is, for a lot of people, one of them.
Yep, for sure.
Kind of talk about like his impact on the wrestling, both the good and the bad, because there have been a handful of both in ring and out of ring for Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, oh my goodness. Well, let me just start by saying that Ric Flair was my first ever favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
Because he was my dad's favorite wrestler. Still is my dad's favorite wrestler. My dad will still contend that Ric Flair is the greatest of all time. I will disagree with him, but Flair has his place, like you said.
Yep.
Flair was my first favorite wrestler, so I have a close tie to Flair. I'm always going to have a soft spot for him, no matter if he gets in the ring at 73 years old and has no business doing it, or we go back and watch a classic match like on his birthday in 1990, Ric Flair and Lex Luger, Wrestle War 90.
Yep.
Then you've got his stuff with Sting, his stuff with Steamboat, his stuff with Dusty, stuff with Shawn and the WWE. Just, run it down the line. Ric Flair has done it all, literally, in the wrestling business. So, for all of that good, obviously, there's the bad. He's got the reputation for living the gimmick, and there's no separation between the man and the gimmick, and that comes with its problems, as you can imagine. But I think overall, man, from a, not just a wrestling standpoint, but from a pop culture standpoint, Ric Flair is one of the most recognizable names in entertainment, period.
Yep.
Bar none. Like, I just don't think there's any way around that.
Yeah, I think obviously, like when you talk to people outside of wrestling, and you talk about wrestlers, obviously nowadays they bring up John Cena, they bring up The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Ric Flair is in that list of people that get brought up.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up those 4 names. Look at that: John Cena, Hulk Hogan, and The Rock. Those 3 names are now synonymous for probably more than just wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy is wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's really interesting that we're growing up in a day and age, or we're living in a day and age rather, where kids are growing up not knowing John Cena and The Rock
As wrestlers.
As wrestlers. Some, you would argue that Hulk Hogan is the same way.
Yeah.
His movies weren't nearly as successful. That's a debate for another time. But we're getting in a situation. I was having this conversation at work the other day. There are many people who do not know The Rock was a wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't have a clue.
Yeah.
You know, and that's hard for guys like us to believe.
Well, my wife is one of those that she didn't know for
There
a
you go.
while that The Rock. She was like, The Rock, is that like Dwayne? I was like, yeah, that's where he gets The Rock from is is from his days in wrestling. I will say, might be the greatest Royal Rumble of all time, 1992.
Yep.
Him coming out, winning the title in that match, a fantastic Rumble.
Yep.
Obviously, like I've always said, the Rumble's my favorite, so I've gone back and watched all of the Rumbles, and it's hard to deny that Rumble is fantastic.
Yep.
Obviously, not the most, but one of the most memorable retirement matches at WrestleMania.
Yes.
With the I'm Sorry, I Love You. And
Yes.
the thing I love about that version is like before he even eats the last super kick, he's already crying.
He's crying.
Like, you know it's the end because he's crying.
Yep.
He doesn't even really sell the super kick. He just kind of falls back and is crying. But that whole moment was just absolutely beautiful. The next night on Raw, him getting the tribute. Obviously, Taker didn't do a lot of those, but him coming out and doing his thing, like all of that. So you gotta put Nature Boy as one of the most influential wrestlers of all time. The figure four leg lock is now one of the most used moves in professional. I feel like that's like how you know a wrestler has made it is when their move is used a lot nowadays. You got the figure four, you got the super kick, you've got.
I was going to say, because that would mean Shawn Michaels is literally the greatest of all time.
Yeah, like Frog Splash with Eddie Guerrero.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of moves that people use out of respect for their favorites of all time, and I think Flair is absolutely up there.
Yep, I definitely agree. So happy birthday to the Nate.
Stop wrestling, though.
Please stop wrestling. I know that you wish you hadn't said that was your last match because you want to have one more. I know you do, but just from all of us here, please stop.
Please stop.
Please stop. Let's move on. Before we do, though, if you like old school, if you like when we dive into old school, make sure you check out Wrestle Buddy, because it's over there that Andy and I contribute a lot of good stuff. Our boy Tyler, our friend Alex and Jimmy, all the crew over there, just some fantastic pieces. It's not old school focused. My stuff is, though. So if you like the old school stuff, WrestleMania season's coming up, so we're going to be counting down a lot of good stuff there. We've talked about the history of the Elimination Chamber. I've got an article coming out probably as you're listening to this. It is the top 10 WCW Super Brawl moments and matches. I know people might be shaking their head, but I'm telling you, go read it. Go watch some of that. Yeah. It holds up. I'm telling you, it does. So go check out my old school stuff. Of course, I'm more old school than Andy is. Yeah. But Andy's got plenty of good stuff up there. What you got coming up next?
Yeah, so coming up next, I'm not entirely sure yet. It's kind of base to base, especially with how this whole storyline of the bloodline and everything else is followed. Because last week I had an article come out about why it should just be Cody versus Roman. That mindset has not changed since the Elimination Chamber, but there are some other thoughts that we'll talk about here in a minute. I'm not sure what my next article is. It's going to be something probably WrestleMania themed, because we are heading quickly into that. We're
there.
Less than 6 weeks away now from Wrestle. About 6 weeks away, I think, actually. On
less than 40 days. I think we're at like 35.
Yeah, something like that.
Somewhere around there.
So we're getting there quickly, and so something WrestleMania themed will come out pretty soon for me.
I like it. Thank you very much. That being said, speaking of WrestleMania and WWE, let's move on. Let's talk about the Elimination Chamber. But before we do, I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this.
That's fine.
Many of you may or may not have been paying attention in the world of news and the professional wrestling, but the Wrestling Observer newsletter year-end awards.
Oh, I knew you were going to talk about this at some point.
Came out this week.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go too far down a rabbit hole because it's going to absolutely make me mad.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
Here's the point that I'm going to make. There were only 3 categories that WWE won in a positive way. Gimmick of the Year for Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year for Braun Breaker.
Okay.
And Non-Wrestler of the Year for Paul Heyman.
Those are deserving.
Sure they are. But that's it.
Yeah.
So WWE won worst match of the year, worst pay-per-view of the year,
Yeah.
worst announcer of the year,
Who won the worst announcer of the year?
Corey Graves. Thank you. Thank you.
I will say this.
Everything else, in a positive way, was taken home by AEW or New Japan.
And you've got to think, that's a majority of the Wrestling Observer newsletter fan base.
But it's
AEW and New Japan.
Well, the guy who runs it is also...
I will say this. The worst match of the year and the worst pay-per-view of the year was deserving.
I agree with that.
The Rumble pay-per-view was horrendous.
Bad. Yeah, it was bad.
We were there in person. It was a lot of fun, but as if you're looking at it as a match type, Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee is not on paper a good match at all.
I agree.
I think Wrestle of the Year was won by John Moxley.
It was,
which I made that argument when we did ours, but that was an argument I made.
I'll agree to disagree.
Roman was in second. They were top two. Yep. The one that shocked me was the tag team. The fact that FTR winning, I'm totally fine with. They were my tag team of the year. The Usos being the fourth though was shocking. I think part of it, and I'm going to try to say this without sounding like I'm talking negative about it because I'm not. I think part of it, the Briscoes got a lot of vote. Part of it is probably because of what happened.
Sure.
And I get that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you just got to know that most of their fan base is AEW and New Japan anti-WWE fans. And so they're going to vote for AEW people more than WWE.
It just drives me nuts. It's annoying.
Who won overrated wrestler? Ronda?
Which is fine.
Fits. But I think Roman was second. On that list.
That's ridiculous. Announcer of the year was Kevin Kelly. Come on.
I like Kevin Kelly.
I'm not saying I don't like him. He just wasn't announcer of the year.
Yeah. I mean,
no.
You got to think Byron Saxton was the announcer this year too. So if anybody from WWE is going to win worst announcer of the year,
well, it wasn't.
Byron should have.
Yeah, well,
Byron should have won that one.
That's a good point. I would argue Kevin Patrick, but he's doing better, so it's fine.
And he didn't come in until later in the year too.
Well, yeah, I guess. Regardless.
Or Jimmy Smith. I think Jimmy Smith could have. Is that his name, Jimmy Smith?
Yeah, Jimmy Smith. He was fine once he got
better than Kevin Patrick.
He's very much better than Kevin Patrick. I agree with that. But anyway, it's ridiculous. I can't stand Dave Meltzer, and I can't stand what they do, and I can't stand all that nonsense. It's stupid.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. This is wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. The Bloodline storyline, what we are experiencing right now, how that is not voted something in the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards besides Sammy,
and Paul.
The gimmick of the year. Come on.
Paul Heyman's the best promo in wrestling, so I get that.
I get it. I'm for sure.
Yeah.
But when we talk about this stuff, come on.
Well, they don't have a storyline of the year award, I don't think.
I'm going to look down the list here. Let's see. I don't think they do either, but let's see. They have feud of the year, which, FTR and Briscoes, I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
Because,
Plus, this feud didn't really start till this year.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it should be the feud win, but it's ridiculous. Oh, okay, let's talk about it. I'm going to get aggravated. Let's talk about it. Before we get straight into the Elimination Chamber, though, let's talk about our scorecards.
Yeah.
PBW scorecards. Let's get into it. Let's run this down very quickly.
Should have been more prepared.
You should have been more prepared. You're exactly right. So let's run this down. Let's go through these provided by Pro Wrestling Scorecards. Shout out to them at PW Scorecards on all social media.
Yep.
Let's run through it quickly. Singles match, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley.
Yep.
I got 17 points out of 23 in this category.
I got 9.
You had 9. I had Bobby winning by DQ. I can't believe I called that one, but I did.
Yeah.
I got that one. German suplexes, submission breaks, and, of course, the announce table being destroyed.
Yeah, I had Brock, which obviously did not happen.
Right.
I had Brock by DQ.
Right.
So that
you got the DQ.
I did get the DQ. So I had 3 more points.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
You still won. The under, I took the under on the suplexes, which I got. The under on the rope breaks and the table. I got that one.
Mixed tag team match, Edge and Beth Phoenix against the Judgment Day. I predicted the only thing I got 6 points out of 25 in this category. It was terrible. The only things that I got right was the winning fall was a pin, and intergender moves. I said over 1.5, which that one was an easy one. That's all I got because I picked Balor and Rhea to win.
Yeah, so I got 9 because I got the fall type, which was pin, and I got the over on the intergender moves and the under on interrupted pin attempts.
Oh, nice. Gotcha. Okay, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn, what we're getting ready to talk about in detail here. I had 11 out of 24 points in this match. Roman for the win, and then I got outside interference, and then Jey Uso not attacking Roman Reigns. I got both of those. That would give me 11 points.
I got 14. Because I had Roman winning by pinfall. And I got near falls right. I had 8, and it was plus minus 7.
Okay.
1 on 7.
There you go.
And then outside interference, I said yes.
Okay.
So
this is funny. When we get to Elimination Chamber here, the match times, I literally flipped them. I had them exactly right, but I flipped them. Drives me nuts. Anyway, men's chamber match.
Yep.
I got 25 out of 49 in the first one. I got the Austin Theory win.
Yeah.
First elimination type by pinfall.
Yeah.
I got Rollins being last eliminated. Pin being the last fall. Over 4.5 eliminations by pin. And a wrestler jumps from the top of the pod.
Yeah, I got 22 points. I had Theory winning. I had the pin type right. I had the last elimination fall type right, which was pinfall. And then eliminations by pin and wrestler jumps from top.
Who did you have last eliminated?
Bronson Reed.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Forgot. All right.
I thought he'd look good. We'll talk about it.
He did.
Talk about it, but he was not what I thought.
Women's Elimination Chamber had Asuka winning, Nikki Cross being the first eliminated. The last elimination fall type was a submission. I got that. And under on 12.5 aerial moves. So that gives me 19 out of 49.
I had 16 out of 49. I had Asuka getting the win. Last elimination fall type was a submission. I got that one right. And under on the aerial moves. And that's it.
And that's it. Match time at first elimination was a category. It was 17 for the men and 12 for the women. I literally had it reversed and had 12 and 17. I was so mad. Main card position on this, you got 3 points for each one that you got right. I only got Roman and Sami right.
I got the women's chamber and Roman and Sami, so I got 6 points.
Unscheduled appearances, I got 6 in this one for picking both Usos. Did not see Trish, did not see Dawkins, and did not see Pat McAfee.
Yep, I got 6 as well because I got Jey Uso and Logan Paul. No Trish, no Cody, and no Solo, which is annoying. The Solo was not out there to beat up on
That's
them.
true.
Where was Solo?
I know, right? So I
Is
totaled
he
up.
not allowed in Canada?
Maybe not. I don't know.
None of the other Usos are. Why?
Maybe it's a bloodline thing. I don't know. So I got 87. You got 85.
85.
Nice.
See, if Solo would have shown up, I'd have won.
If Solo would have showed up, you'd have won. That's right.
Thanks, Solo.
I know.
You used to be my favorite. Now you're not. No, you still are.
All right. Let's break it down. Roman and Sami, what a main event that it was. There were many times where we said we were going to be right on the edge of Sami Zayn winning because Roman Reigns is brilliant at kicking out at near falls, and we experienced all of that.
Yeah. So we've talked multiple times about how we get our expectations up so high, sometimes too high, and they are never met.
Right.
And I put the blame like 99.9% of the time on fans for their expectations being too high.
Mm-hmm.
This is the point one time I kind of put this on WWE because the storyline up to this point, I'll say it has been perfect at every single stop.
Sure.
Like perfect to the minutest detail has been absolutely perfect.
Yep.
I think because of that, if Sami didn't pick up the win, it was going to feel deflated and flat at the end. I think there might have been a way that you could figure out. There might have been a way around it. There might have been a way to have Roman get the win without it feeling that way.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest issue was like the last 7 to 10 minutes of this match. Sammy was getting absolutely obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely obliterated.
Mm-hmm.
And then he spears Jay on accident. I think he then eats a spear.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3.
He got beat up by Roman hit him with a chair a couple times.
Yeah, Roman hit him with a chair a couple times. Jimmy hit him with like 50 super kicks or something like that.
That was before.
Right. Because, and that was the part that Sammy looked strong because he ate a super kick, he ate a frog splash, and then he ate a spear.
Right.
And he kicked out.
Right.
But then it just, from that point on, it seemed like Sammy got no offense in. It felt like just an absolute pure beating from him. And then the match happens. Roman picks up the win. Then Kevin comes out, which I had a problem with until the promo on Raw. Then I was like, okay, Kevin actually made sense, which I'm fine with. But I don't know, it felt really, really flat at the end.
And the reason, you're exactly right, is because the only way for it not to feel that way was going to be for Sammy to win.
Yeah.
That's the only way around that.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. There was no way Sammy was going to win. But my argument against that, my argument for Sammy winning is you only get lightning in a bottle like this maybe once.
There is, but, okay. I agree.
Like, there's only, and if Sammy would have won here, we're talking like Cody levels of getting elevated even higher.
Yeah, but
because there's no denying Sami Zayn sold out the Elimination Chamber.
Sure he did.
Roman Reigns didn't. Sami Zayn did.
I think
because if you look at the draw, anytime Sammy is advertised for a TV, the viewership is up.
But anytime he's been on TV in the last 6 to 8 months, who's he been on TV with?
Not always. Not always.
Every
time he showed up on Raw, it was not with Roman.
I think that I'm not saying Sammy's not over. I'm not taking anything away from Sammy specifically. But I think what WWE is also looking at in this, because my response to all of that is I thought this ending was done really well.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was done great. Thought it accomplished its job of leaving us with more questions than answers, which is what we needed. But I stand by that there was no way Sammy was going to win. And because of that, it was not going to feel good. Just wasn't.
Right.
Even Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick on After the Bell talked about that today.
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't feel good, even though we knew Roman was probably going to win. You can't have your champion of 900 days lose the month before WrestleMania. That's just bad business. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. It's bad business.
To me, Roman losing before Mania adds more intrigue to Mania.
But where does I am of the impression that I don't think Sammy, with winning this, if he were to win, I do not think it's sustainable afterwards.
Probably not.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Is because that's why he could not win. That's why we couldn't go any further, because this run's not going to sustain. So you're going to blow a 900-day reign, the greatest champion of our generation, on a feel-good moment for him to win it back and to start it over, because that's what was going to happen.
I don't think he would win it back.
I think WrestleMania.
Right.
I think it was the right call, and that it just.
No, I completely agree. I think it is the right call to have Roman win. If you were going to do it, this is when you did it.
Sure. Oh, no doubt.
Like, this is when because there was nobody hotter than Sammy.
Yeah.
Like, Cody getting great reactions. Cody even got a great reaction in Ottawa.
Right.
Still not Sami Zayn. Like that would have been the perfect reaction in the perfect moment. My only concern is now, I have two concerns. My first concern is because a lot of people felt that this ended really, really, really flat. Like, really flat in a bad way, not in like we knew this was going to happen, it's going to feel flat.
Right.
A lot of people felt this was going to be flat, and in return might start turning on Cody because he is not Sammy.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, I feel like right now, and I know I just had an article come out saying it should be Cody, and I'm still behind that. However, I am very disappointed Sammy's not in the main event of WrestleMania.
But again, I think it goes back to, I'm not saying Sammy doesn't deserve it, but when we look back at the story,
Yeah.
we talked about it last week. The story is Sammy and Jay.
Yeah.
Not Sammy and Roman. So now that we've sort of thrown Roman out of the equation, now we settle the Sammy and Jay situation.
Yeah.
So you can, again, you mentioned this last week. If we head to the tag match at Mania, it very well could main event night number 1.
It should.
It should.
Yeah.
It very well could. I don't know that it will. We'll see.
Probably Charlotte and
Rhea, but
yeah.
I'm not saying that that's not the main event of WrestleMania because it's not closing WrestleMania.
Right.
But it's a weird situation to where let's take the perfect parallel. Daniel Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Bryan was able to sustain what he did past WrestleMania. He got hurt.
Yeah.
We're not gonna throw that into it.
Right.
But from his media appearances, wrestling everywhere, putting on stellar matches, making people believe, all the things. I'm not saying that Sammy can't do those things.
Right.
I just don't know how sustainable it would have been had he won. And I'm of the impression that if you don't think he's going to be able to sustain it, there would have been no reason to blow Roman's run with this.
Yeah, and I get that. My thing is now, especially now, Roman has to lose at WrestleMania. He has to lose at WrestleMania. If we push this to SummerSlam, I know you want to hit the 1,000-day mark. I know you want to do all this other stuff. If you push this past SummerSlam or to SummerSlam, one, I don't think it can be Cody that takes the belt off of him at SummerSlam.
Right.
And two, you got lucky after the Finn Balor debacle of people not the only reason why people didn't turn on the Roman's reign. The only reason why people didn't turn on his reign though is because around that time is when Sammy started to kind of dabble in the bloodline a little. You've got to figure out something from here. If you're going to have Roman beat Cody at WrestleMania, you've got to have something from to go forward. I
think with the whole fan situation, I think what we have to be careful of is remembering whether they turn on the reign or not. It doesn't matter as much because he's still a heel at the end of the day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't want people to want this reign. We want them to get behind somebody to knock them off.
Right.
So I get what you're saying of people are going to sour on this and it's not going to be remembered as fondly.
Right.
But as I said last week, and as I said the week before that, just when we think it's going to turn stale, it doesn't.
Right.
For whatever reason.
But I will say this, if Cody loses, Roman has literally run through everybody.
Yes, he has.
And nobody's believable anymore.
I agree.
Nobody.
I agree.
Maybe Seth, but if you have Seth lose to Logan Paul at WrestleMania, Seth goes out the window.
There it is. If it is, and then you've got Randy lurking, which we don't know what the deal with Randy is.
Right.
That would be a fantastic feud with Roman.
Right.
There's the answer.
But do you really want Randy Orton to be the one to break the 1,000-day reign?
No, I'm not saying.
Right. No, I know what you're saying. I'm just saying we're running out of options to elevate careers with this title reign.
With Randy being out as long as he has been, if he were to come back and have a 2-month program with Roman, people would eat that up. He doesn't have to win. I don't think he will.
No.
But my point is if Seth Rollins beats Logan Paul, which is a big if that we're going to talk about over the next couple of weeks, huge if he beats Logan Paul and Roman Reigns beats Cody Rhodes, that is literally the only person that can do it now. Is Seth Rollins. So if those two things happen, we have to be on a collision course for that match and for Seth to take the title off of Roman.
And it has to be a SummerSlam. We can't push this to WrestleMania next year.
I would agree with that. I would be interested to see what other layers we're able to uncover if we were to go longer.
Yeah.
I don't think we should.
No. Because that's the thing is like, because we talked about this before. You want to turn somebody, you want to break up a group, you want to do something before fans are ready for it to end.
Right.
And I feel like, I'm going back to it, Drew winning at Clash at the Castle would have been a perfect example of this. That was the perfect storm, the perfect opportunity. Put the title on Drew right then and there. You didn't. You introduced Solo. Now we've had this great storyline with the Bloodline with Sami Zayn. But you have to pull the trigger on somebody at some point.
There's not going to be any more perfect storms.
No.
Like we're getting to the end of perfect storms.
Yeah.
You're right.
And we're getting like this term has been used a lot. We could look back at like the last 2 years of this run, which is crazy to talk about 2 years of a championship run, and it's not even the full run. If this goes on to WrestleMania next year, we could be looking at like this is our generation's Triple H reign of terror of everybody you put in front of him, he kind of beats, and when he beats them, they don't feel the same after he beats them. Finn Balor after he got beat.
But I think you're focusing too much on Finn Balor with that.
Well, even Drew didn't feel the same.
Matt Riddle.
Well, he got suspended shortly after
he also was like did his thing with Rollins after that. You got Rollins, who he beat.
Well, technically didn't beat him. But even then, that match happened, and we didn't even go back to it.
Right. Exactly. And there's a reason for that.
Hopefully.
Brock always feels big.
Yeah.
Edge, you can make the argument one way or the other.
Yeah. Cena is Cena.
Cena. Jey Uso. Roman beating Jey Uso.
Right, but that was in the beginning stages.
I understand, but like Roman beating Jey Uso was the best thing that could happen for Jey Uso.
Right. I completely agree with that. But again, that was like the first year of this run.
Right.
Now we're on the point where you even remove Finn Balor from the situation. Kevin Owens at the Rumble in 2021 did not feel the same after that. Even 2022, he's moved on to something different.
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, Sami was in Canada, so the fans are going to be behind him. It's going to be interesting to see what happens outside of Canada with fan reaction. Depending on what happens with Cody at WrestleMania, it could go one way or the other. Drew didn't feel the same after Clash. I'll argue Seth didn't feel the same after the Rumble.
He had to build himself back up.
He had to build himself back up.
Cody helped with that a lot.
He did.
Yep.
I mean, if we want to take it back to the beginning, I'm not blaming Roman Reigns for the downfall of The Fiend at all. That was Vince McMahon in his glory.
Right.
But I'll just say, like, Roman has done a lot of fantastic stuff in this feud and in this reign. Like, if you would have told me 2 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, Roman was going to have a 3-year reign, I would have been dreading every single second of it.
You'd have probably turned it off.
Probably. I would have said I'm probably not watching WWE at that point. It's been very intriguing. He's done a fantastic job. I'm not taking anything away from Roman Reigns.
Right.
But if this reign is going to be worth anything to build somebody up, we have to pull the trigger sooner rather than later.
Like I said, we're running out of options at this point. We're really,
if Cody loses and Seth loses at WrestleMania, at that point, you'd have to bring in a Braun Breaker from NXT and build him up.
Exactly. I mean, the only people literally that
or
I'm
Jay
thinking
White.
of, the only people that I'm thinking, it's not going to be somebody outside.
No.
I don't think that'll
Cody's
happen.
the only outsider, quote unquote outsider, that has a chance.
I think you're looking at, I'm just thinking of ways that you can sustain this feud to get you to something. You've got Randy, maybe. AJ, when he comes back, you could have a run with that because we haven't seen that yet. Bobby. Yeah, we really haven't seen Bobby yet. That would be really good. And you always go back to the well with Edge if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to, though.
Yeah.
A random one, you could put Kofi Kingston in there with him. Kofi could have good matches with him. I'm not saying that that's, whatever.
Right.
But then you're
Big
looking...
E, when he comes back.
Yep. You're looking at guys... Sheamus, we didn't get to see that. You could put Sheamus in there. You could look at Braun Strowman. I know he was sort of in there at the very beginning, but you could put him in there. But the point that we're both trying to make and looking at it different ways, we're running out of time and options for to get the most out of Roman losing the title.
Because all the people you just named... In my head was like, but there's no way.
Yeah, but there's no way. Yeah, for sure.
Like the only name right now that I can think of that should and could beat him is Cody. But if Cody is going to be the one, we've got to pick this story up between the two of them because
Sure we do.
the first two promos were fantastic. The promo from this past weekend, from this past Raw, I was fine.
Well, I think that's a product of kind of where we are and what happens.
They need to go face to face soon.
And they will. And they will. And I think part of that too, and you and I texted about this, I think part of that too is you've got to move Sammy away from Cody as far as you possibly can.
Yep.
As far as you can.
Like I think Sammy does not need to interact with Roman again.
Sammy doesn't need to, yes.
With the bloodline, that's fine. With the Usos, absolutely. With Roman himself, if you want Cody and Roman to work, Sammy and Roman do not need to be anywhere near each other.
Right. I agree with that. All right, we mentioned Seth Rollins. We mentioned a couple of the guys, in the men's elimination chamber. We also mentioned this guy. Logan Paul showed up. You called it. Costing Seth Rollins the elimination chamber match. Yeah. Austin Theory getting the dub. And we're headed straight for Rollins and Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be a really good match. I think the build to this is going to be a lot of fun. I think what I'm really hoping happens is Seth attacks Logan Paul on his Impulsive podcast.
Oh, I think it'll happen.
Like, we do stuff like that. Like, the build is going to be great. The moment's going to be great. The match is going to be great.
Will the finish be great?
Will the winner be great is the question.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Seth. I think if he loses, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to feel... He's worked really hard since that Roman match at the Rumble to be the second face of the company.
Right.
And he's done that. Like, he is, other than outside of Roman, Seth is the other guy.
Well, I mean, look, the first WrestleMania Hollywood commercial that they showed...
Fantastic, by the way.
Seth and Becky.
And the
was so good.
Seth dancing as Joaquin Phoenix Joker was
amazing.
Perfect. I even tweeted out, I would absolutely watch a Joker movie with Seth Rollins as the Joker. I would absolutely buy a ticket and go watch that.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
It would be so good. Let's talk about some of the ins and outs of this match, though. Some ridiculously awesome spots in this match. Montez off the top was just insane. I would be interested to see, I don't think they did anything on this on Raw, so I'll be interested to see if it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
If they start playing off of Tez's injury angle.
Yeah, I don't think the Profits were on Raw at all, were they?
No.
I
don't think they were.
They may play.
See, like, I thought
he was actually hurt for a minute.
Right. I think that you could do a situation where Tez got stomped.
Yeah.
Tez has a concussion. Tez forgets. That's how he turns on Dawkins.
Yeah.
And turns heel.
Yeah.
You could do something like that.
You could do something like that. I think, though, the turn is not going to happen before Mania.
Not after?
Probably.
Okay.
Or at.
Oh, yeah, because we got to have some sort of big swerve at Mania or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time, man, that I saw an Elimination Chamber match where all 6 guys got in before anybody got eliminated.
And it was fantastic.
It was so good, but nobody got eliminated.
No. And I'll say this. There were like 3 things I wanted to happen from this. Bronson Reed to look like a monster, which he did.
Only thing he didn't do was the tsunami off of the
top of the pod, which is fine.
I needed to see that, though.
Only if Wade Barrett's on commentary so he can yell tsunami, because he yells tsunami the best out of anybody in the company.
He does.
Bronson Reed looked fantastic.
He looked good.
This was the first glimpse of Johnny Takeover we've gotten since he came to the main roster.
And who did he start the match with?
Seth Rollins. And he looked, but the whole time, he looked fantastic.
The Hurricane Rana spot was...
where he hit his face on the side of the... that was insane.
Yep.
I love the spot of Seth and Johnny in the pod with Theory beating the crap out of Theory. That was great.
Very cool.
And Montez looked...
Yep.
Montez, to me, was the MVP of the match.
Yep.
Like, Montez was fantastic. As soon as he entered the chamber, he was just running wild.
Yep.
He was running absolutely wild. So those 3 things I wanted to happen, they happened. The match itself was great.
Yep.
I love the fact that Theory was getting beaten up 99% of the time.
Yeah.
And still won.
And that's a Ric Flair match.
That
we
is
talked about Ric Flair earlier.
Yeah.
That's exactly what a Ric Flair match is.
Which I'm sure is a great way to segue into this. Obviously, it's already been announced. March the 6th, Boston, John Cena is going to make his return to Raw.
Yes, he is in 2 weeks.
We are heading to Cena versus Theory.
Which, are you surprised? No, okay, rephrase. Not are you surprised that they announced him appearing on the road to WrestleMania?
Yeah,
but
especially in his hometown.
But did you not think that they would sort of keep this under wraps until Mania and have him show up?
No, because they may be saving that for The Rock. But also...
Oh, well, that's a good point.
But also, like, they've sold tickets really, really well for Mania.
Yep.
If Cena gets added to the card, a lot more people are going to start buying tickets to go.
Right, so we need to know ahead of time.
You need to know kind of ahead of time
Well,
that
I think
Cena...
same thing with Austin last year.
Yeah. Like, they didn't announce it until, like, 2 or 3 weeks before Mania, but we could tell where we were heading for that match a lot sooner. I think that's the same with Cena. I think Cena in Theory for the U.S. title at WrestleMania is fantastic.
Yep.
I think Cena beats him.
Ooh, hot take.
And we'll talk about this a little later, too. Cena beats him, comes out in Raw, does an open challenge, which is answered by a certain man that was just forced out of New Japan Pro Wrestling and wins it.
That would be interesting.
I would pop for that. But I think that match has been on the cards for a long time. And if this is the way we're heading to it, then absolutely.
You know what's scary is if Cena answers the open challenge at Mania and beats Theory, I think Theory could be the first challenger for Cody and beat him.
No, not that soon.
You
just talked about sustaining a championship run after this.
Hot take. I did. Yes, I did. You're right.
If that's the case, then this is 10 times worse.
I agree.
10 times worse.
I'm not saying I like it.
No.
I don't want it to happen.
There's a 0% chance that happens.
I hope not. I truly hope not.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to put it past him.
That's a Vince McMahon thing.
Yes, it is.
He's gone. So, well, maybe not. But there's no way.
Speaking of Austin,
I will say this. I think Theory is a great first challenger for Cody.
But he doesn't win.
I
think so too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Now, if Cody is champion walking into Money in the Bank, I think it's going to be him and Walter.
Oh, yeah.
Especially calling back the Rumble, everything else. Especially when he loses that title at WrestleMania to Sheamus.
I'm just saying I'm not going to be comfortable if it's Theory first at all.
I'm not going to be as nervous as you are probably. But
I'll be nervous. All right. Speaking of the U.S. title match, I really threw a wrench in everything.
You fired me up for a second.
I did. Speaking of the U.S. title, Edge and Austin Theory on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
Man, what a match.
It was really good. Really good. This is the kind of theme of the weekend for WWE. Really good. And then the finish happened.
See, I didn't hate it.
Too many of them.
Well, I guess.
Way too many. It's so common now. I think if you look at Raw, most of the matches either end in DQ or end with interference. Yep. 3 matches at Elimination Chamber out of the 5 ended in DQ or interference finish.
Yeah.
Way too many.
Yeah.
Way too many. Plus, after this match happens at WrestleMania, Edge and Finn Balor don't even need to be in the same building ever again. No. Please keep them as far away from each other.
Well, I think once that happens, I think you can move. Because Rhea's going to be on the SmackDown Women's Champion.
Yeah, Finn needs to move to SmackDown.
So I think you can move all of them over to SmackDown. That would make the most sense to me. But Edge and Austin Theory, tremendous match.
It was great.
This mixed tag match at Elimination Chamber, great match.
Yep.
We talked about it on the show, very surprised by this result.
Yep. It felt like the finish to the feud.
Didn't it?
That's why the finish to the main event Raw kind of bugged me even more, because it felt like the finish.
It's like we were done.
Yeah.
And then here we go again.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, like we've been talking about on this podcast, a lot.
Since WrestleMania last year.
Well, not necessarily since Mania last year, but Edge needs to be done with Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And we should have been done. I'm trying to think.
SummerSlam should have been the end.
No, because you have to have him come back after they turn on him. And that was his first.
Clash then.
No, it should have been the I Quit match. The I Quit match should have been the end, yes.
Yeah.
That should have been the end. So.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, Shatter Machine finish.
It was amazing.
With this was fantastic.
That's fuel to the fire from Dax's comments on the podcast.
And absolutely, they did it on purpose.
And they hit it perfect. They hit it absolutely perfectly.
They definitely did. Looks like, if we're talking about Judgment Day here, looks like we're going to start the build for Ray versus Dominic tonight.
SmackDown, yep.
On SmackDown, because Rhea and Charlotte are going face-to-face.
Yep.
Dom called out his dad. We're going to start planting seeds for that.
Yep.
Honestly, man, and thinking about, by the way, breaking news, I'm going to WrestleMania this year, by the way. In thinking about what I was going to see at WrestleMania, I forgot about Ray and Dom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that we know we're building to, and we've been building to for a year now, really. But I forgot. You know, I'm kind of excited to see what happens in that match.
Yeah, we're probably going to see Ray's last match.
I would think so.
Unless they try to push it to SummerSlam.
I don't know why they would.
Maybe, I don't either.
You know, Ray and Dom, that's the perfect last match for Ray.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. So excited to see that. Honestly, I'm intrigued to see, because the build to this has been interesting. They've used social media a lot. They've done
every holiday. I'm looking at social media to see what Dom and Rhea do to Ray.
Thinking outside the box, doing some different things. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see when they get them both on the same show what happens. It's great that they split them up too. Yeah, because it's really been able to, you know, stretch the feud out a whole lot.
What's really interesting, what's really weird is I think everybody on Judgment Day except for Damian Priest has a direction going into WrestleMania.
That's true.
Because you got Rhea Charlotte, you got Dom was that Dom and Eddie. Dom and Ray. Dom and Eddie's his real dad. Right. Dom and Ray and Finn and Edge.
Yeah.
So, like, what's Priest going to do at Mania?
I don't know.
Probably be in the corner for Rhea and for Dom.
For Dom, probably.
Probably both. Dom will be in the corner for Rhea.
Right.
Unless that match happens the night of.
Oh, we'll split those up.
Yeah.
I think we'll split those up. All right.
And also, Beth Phoenix absolutely needs to be the first person to challenge Rhea for that title.
For sure she does. Yeah, she definitely does. I need to see that one-on-one match.
Probably happened at that Saudi show, the WrestleMania Backlash or whatever.
Is that going to be in Saudi?
That's the rumor right now. That's going to be the Saudi
Backlash
show.
is going to be in Saudi? Really?
Mm-hmm. Which I'm fine with.
Well, they are doing, I did read this morning, they're doing 2 pay-per-views in May.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. The Backlash is in Saudi, and then the other May pay-per-view is King and Queen of the Ring.
That's a pay-per-view now?
Yes.
Oh, thank the Lord. That's fantastic.
Yes, it's going to be a pay-per-view
now.
Thank
you. That's going to be amazing.
Yep. So that is at the end of May. Backlash is at the beginning of May.
I'm so happy they brought that back as a pay-per-view.
That's not confirmed by WWE, but it's
in the works.
It seems like it's in the works, which also AEW Forbidden Door is also in the works, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
May's going to be busy.
That's basically confirmed. It's not till June. They put Forbidden Door in June.
The thing is, April to like July is
nuts.
The busiest time in wrestling.
It's going to be bonkers.
Until SummerSlam, it's going to be busy.
Yeah, and SummerSlam is going to be in August this year. So,
like the first week in August, though, isn't it?
Probably. Yeah, I don't remember what the date is. You're probably right. Anyway, let's move on. Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. Not a whole lot to say about this match. It was very weird. Very much points to a second match, which begs the question. Not a second match, sorry, rematch.
Yeah.
Begs the question, what the heck was the Bray Wyatt promo about on Friday? And, like, what are we doing?
I don't think that match happens at Mania.
What?
The rematch to this. I don't think it happens at Mania.
But it just doesn't make any sense.
I think you probably build. I mean, we'll see what happens on SmackDown tonight with Bray.
The Firefly Funhouse tonight.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you also had Omos challenge Brock Lesnar, which, please, for the love, do not let that happen.
No.
I think Bray and Omos are kind of a bait and switch. Because I don't know how we're not heading to Bray and Uncle Howdy at Mania.
Yeah, no, me either.
It's like I feel like that might be the case.
Too, I wrote this in my notes too. Like this Uncle Howdy situation now, since the Rumble, we've seen him the on-screen thing where he was at the rocking chair. That was fine, but now that
jump scare too.
Now that he's in the ring, I'm not as intrigued.
It takes away a lot.
It takes away so much because I want him to be the creepy guy lurking in the shadows. What's he really going to do? But now he's out here getting physical and walking around with Bray like he's a normal person. Like, wait a minute. But that's not cool.
But they got a huge pop when they showed up.
Oh, no doubt. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
But it takes away.
He needs to be the man in the shadows until Mania. which is really like we haven't seen Alexa since the Rumble either.
No, apparently she's taking time off that she either requested or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know if she comes back before Mania. I'm sure she will.
Or comes back at Mania.
Yeah.
In some way.
In some Bray fashion, Bray versus somebody.
Right.
But I don't know. I think Bray calling them out was a bait and switch. I think Omos calling them out or Brock out was a bait and switch. I think Brock murders Omos probably on Monday.
I hope so. Not that I'm advocating that Brock actually kill somebody. I just don't want that match to happen.
I kind of like to see it. But not Omos, though. I like Omos. I mean, not as a wrestler, but as a person, he's a good dude.
Oh, my gosh.
But I want to see a fan try to attack Brock. Like, they jump.
Yeah,
that would be fun. But I think we're heading to Brock Bobby, maybe at that Boston Raw.
Yeah, maybe that's
and
true.
And then after that, we head to Brock and Bray and Bobby and MVP.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see Bray and Brock in a tag.
No, I just want to see Brock Lesnar have to deal with the spooky stuff. Like
Yeah.
that would be really fun.
Would be
to
very
see
cool.
Brock have to deal with the spooky Bray.
If you want to imagine what that's like, go check out PBWF on our other feed, our fantasy booking show, where that feud actually happened in season 1.
Yeah.
All of that is available in the archives.
It would be done very differently, I hope.
check
Because
it
the way
out.
I did it, I was a little iffy on. But
anyway, regardless,
yeah.
we're plugging the show. Come on. Go
It was
check it out.
fantastic.
It's a lot of good stuff. Anyway, Women's Elimination Chamber won by the woman, the only woman in that match who could win it and make us feel comfortable with it. Asuka now becomes the first woman in WWE history to win the Rumble, Money in the Bank, and Elimination Chamber. And Bianca Belair has the chance to steal the show a third Mania
She
in
will.
a row.
They will. They absolutely will. And
This match is going to be awesome.
This match is going to be fantastic. I honestly don't know who wins.
I don't either.
Like, I feel like Asuka should absolutely win.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're heading into Cena level of territory with Bianca.
I can see that. Well, I think that's also a product, not necessarily of putting her over. I just don't think she has a lot to work with.
Right. Especially if she's
Who
not
else?
If she's not going to work with Becky, which we've already seen that a numerous amount of times, and Bayley, which we saw for most of the year.
Yep. Who else?
You've got to put the belt on Asuka.
I agree.
Like, and plus you're bringing in the Kana version of Asuka. You're doing all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Asuka's going to start being built again, like she was in NXT.
Yeah.
Of like being undefeated, unbeatable.
We hope so.
You kind of keep going forward. Plus, it would be interesting to see what happens to Bianca after this.
Yep.
Like her without the title. Maybe she turns heel. Maybe, she goes off and does something else. I don't really know. But I think Asuka, as of right now, I think Asuka should come out winning. But I will say, this might be, I'll say it. This was probably the best women's chamber match.
Probably.
Because everybody looked fantastic.
I would go back and look, excuse me. I'd go back and look at the very first one in 2018.
Was that the tag?
No, tag was 2019. 2018, right. Alexa, Bayley, Sasha. I think Mandy was in there. Naomi was in there.
Yeah.
Really good match. One of those two is definitely one of the best.
This one was weird though because it didn't have a lot of high super, like massive superstar. The only name that like sticks out is Asuka.
Right.
And it was Liv looked fantastic in this too.
Yeah. Let's talk about one more women's thing before we move on, and that's what we found out on Monday Night Raw. Becky Lynch and Lita against Damage Control for the tag team titles. I think depending on how hurt Dakota Kai actually is, if this match actually happens or not.
I think it happens.
Here's what I think. I just came up with this idea this morning. Uh-oh. You know how we've talked about on this show people pulling double duty at WrestleMania, and we're thinking Damage Control would probably pull double duty. They would defend the titles, and they would also participate in the 6-woman tag.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance that Becky and Lita could win the belts.
Mm-hmm.
They could be the ones to face Ronda and Shayna.
I don't think you want to do Ronda and Becky without it being a singles match again.
But if they're not going to do a singles match, why not?
Yeah.
Put them in there together at least.
Man, I forgot
I
that.
agree.
I forgot that I wanted to see that so long ago.
Right?
Now I'm like, I don't really want to see it anymore.
Like, I want to see it just because of what it is, and they could tell the story
Right.
and make it feel important again.
Right.
But I now think there might be a scenario
Probably.
where they could win the belts.
Probably. I mean, there's a good chance that they could. I think this match happens, but it ends in a Triple H fashion of a DQ, and then Bayley gets involved, Trish gets involved, and we just head to a 6-woman tag.
And I would be totally fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that whatsoever. I just, what if?
Yeah. But I think Becky and Lita being a tag team is really cool and
It's very
really,
cool.
really interesting.
I saw somebody posted the other day on some message board or something that Trish should come back and side with Damage Control, and it would be Bayley and Trish against Lita and Becky, which I think is ridiculous.
That should be kind of cool.
No, I would hate that.
And you could do Damage Control, go do the tag titles.
That was their point.
Yeah.
But I think
I don't hate it.
I think it's stupid.
I don't necessarily hate it, but I don't know.
Here's the
I don't
reason-
know how you could do Trish as a heel.
Here's the other reason I don't like Damage Control against Ronda and Shayna is that's two heel teams.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
I think Damage Control by default would be the face team.
Right. But like,
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
what do you do with that?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make any sense. Or are you going to head to Ronda Bayley out of that, which is not a bad idea, but like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
If Ronda will even be here still.
If Ronda will even be here, that's true. All right, if you're digging what we're doing, make sure you hit that like button on the Body Slam.net YouTube channel video. Make sure you subscribe wherever you find your podcast. To follow us on social media at PBW Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This is the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast, a show that is for the fans, by the fans. We appreciate you guys wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, all of those things. Make sure that you are tuned in each and every Friday. Make sure you go check out our other show, Fantasy Booking Show, Pipe Bomb Wrestling Federation, PBWF. That is on a separate feed. That drops on Tuesdays. Our Season 2 draft is coming up WrestleMania week, March 28th. So we're taking a little break on that, but the fun is still rolling with that behind the scenes.
Yes, it is.
But we will roll that out for you guys on March 28th. Get ready for that. But let's talk about something, Andy, that we don't normally talk about or don't spend a lot of time talking about on our show. Rather, we reference it a whole lot.
Yeah.
But we don't spend a lot of time. And that is, you mentioned it, I mentioned it at the top of the show, New Japan's Battle in the Valley. Before we get to the formerly known Sasha Banks, Danhausen's tweet about CM Punk
I missed it. I didn't see it.
said something about, I'm going to have to pull it up. So CM
Punk was there.
Yeah, go ahead and tell that.
Well, Punk was in the media section and was there. And all of us, like, people figured out, and there was like a long line to try to meet him. I don't know if anybody ever met him or not.
Yes, they did. I saw pictures in a Facebook group that I'm in of people that met him.
Okay. But he was there, and I think he like asked to take part in the show a long time ago, and then this whole thing can happen. What's really funny though is Kenta is not a huge CM Punk fan anywhere. For those that don't know who Kenta is, the former Hideo Itami in NXT.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously Kenta, his finishing move is the GTS, and like he was hitting it before Punk was hitting it, I'm pretty sure. And so Kenta was wrestling, literally looked up at the section that Punk was in, did the go to sleep taunt that Punk does, picked him up, picked whoever he's facing, and hit it and won. So
It's amazing.
yeah, it was Punk being there was very interesting.
So if you guys don't follow Danhausen on social media or on YouTube,
He's amazing.
listen, do yourself a favor, just do it. Like you will. I was skeptical. I'll be perfectly honest. I was skeptical, and then I started diving in.
He's
and
amazing.
Danhausen's amazing.
He's amazing.
Listen, this was his tweet. Pepsi Phil better not have spent the $94 he owes Danhausen on New Japan tickets. This is why you love Danhausen.
Pepsi Phil is
Pepsi
my
Phil.
favorite name now.
So good.
Oh my gosh.
So follow Danhausen. There's your plug. Mercedes Mone, formerly known as Sasha Banks, defeating Kairi to become the second ever
Yep.
New Japan Pro Wrestling Women's Champion.
Yep.
Fantastic match. They got the finish right this time. Thankfully.
I think she modified it.
She may have.
Yeah.
But Sasha is now the first woman in history. This will not be broken anytime soon. The NXT Women's Championship,
Yep.
Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship, Women's Tag Titles. Now this one. That ain't getting broken anytime soon.
I wouldn't be shocked if she won the other one.
Right. Exactly. You never know.
Yeah.
But congrats to Sasha. Like, I know that she has been a pain in a lot of people's necks for a while, depending fan, backstage personnel,
right?
Adam Pearce, John Laurinaitis, whatever, Vince McMahon. But if this is really what she wanted, in leaving WWE, if this was her passion, she's betting on herself. I would rather her be in WWE, but personally, like, if this is what she wants, she knocked it out of the park, man. Kudos to Sasha.
She hasn't wrestled since
whatever her
post WrestleMania.
Yeah, whatever.
Like just right after WrestleMania time.
Whatever her last WWE match was.
Yeah, she hasn't
when they dropped the title.
She hasn't won.
No, they didn't never drop the titles. Never mind. You're right.
She was supposed to be in that six-woman gauntlet match or whatever. She hasn't wrestled in about a year, and she has not lost a step. She looks fantastic in the ring. She kind of confirmed in this match that she might be the greatest in-ring women's wrestler of all time.
She is. I'll say it right now. She is.
But I will say this: like, people forget how good Kyrie is in the ring too.
For sure.
Like, this match was absolutely fantastic. Presentation was on point.
Yep. For both ladies.
New Japan does a lot of good. Their presentation, I would put up there with just about anybody else.
Yep.
Their presentation is spot on.
Yep.
I'm happy for her. I didn't really, I want, honestly, towards the end of this whole, like, where will she end up? Where will she go? I didn't really want her back in WWE because I felt like she didn't really want to be there.
Sure.
And if this is what she wants to do and go out and wrestle some of the best women in the world that don't get recognition and give them the recognition because they're wrestling her, please. Like, that's kind of what Cody did in a way.
Yes.
She's going to go do it. She's going to go out and do that for the women's, like, for women's wrestling.
And then she'll be back.
And then she'll probably come back. Yep. Like, I am all for it. She looked fantastic.
Yep. She's
already her next opponent. I forget her name. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I don't remember who it was either.
But she paid the tribute. I'm not huge into New Japan women's division and Stardom, but the young lady that killed herself a couple years ago because of bullying and stuff like that.
Yep.
Her gear was inspired by her. Paid tribute to her.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yep.
So I'm happy. I'm happy she made a return to wrestling. I'm happy she's back in the ring. The wrestling world feels better now that she's back, and I'm excited to see what she does.
You could tell, or at least I could, that she wrestled a different style in this match than she did in WWE. And I think that was forced, but I think it went well. Like, I don't think it was a bad force. I think she intentionally went out there and said, I'm going to be different.
She wants Mercedes Moné to be different than Sasha Banks.
Yep.
And that's why you go out and bet on yourself.
Yep.
To not do the same shtick, but to do something different. And I'm all for it. Like, I think she did some of the same moves, but she also did some new stuff. She looked more comfortable. Like,
she did look comfortable.
She looked very comfortable.
It looked natural.
It didn't look like she was out of place. So I'm all for it, and I love everything that she's done so far.
Greatest in-ring women's competitor of all time.
Yeah,
I'll stand by it.
I'll just say this: she's one of the greatest in-ring wrestlers of all time.
Oh yeah, you
like
can
men, women, whatever.
You can put her up there.
She is up there
a lot for sure. You can. All right, let's move on to one of the other big time matches from this New Japan show. Jay White let me try that again. Jay White losing another loser leaves town match. This time to Eddie Kingston. Man, I know that everybody, I'm not trying to dog Jay White or I'm not trying to whatever. His contract status is pretty public.
Yeah.
We all pretty much know that everything is running out. He has not re-signed anything. This is like the third loser leaves town match that he's been in, I think.
Second?
Okay, second. Why even put that on there? Like, if we know.
This one was, so the first one was loser leaves Japan.
Okay, that's fine.
And then obviously Japan has started their New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, which is their American dojo, which he opened, helped start, all this other stuff. This is what this show was. So he did the loser leaves Japan match. He lost that one, but still went to Strong to be a part of New Japan.
Right.
This one was loser leaves New Japan.
Right.
Like, you leave the company, you can't come back to the company, blah, blah, whatever. So, I mean, it makes sense because this is what the company he helped start. This is the thing he helped create. And this was the area he helped create it in. So I think it made sense to me that they would do both. Loser leaves Japan, and then loser leaves New Japan.
I would have just done one. That's just me.
Well, the Japanese crowd would love the one they got.
I know, I get it.
And this one gives us the chance to do the same thing.
I just think it was just kind of like you knew when the bell rang he was going to lose. You know?
Yeah, but that's true for most loser leaves town match.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of annoying. Anyway, again, not taking anything away from Jay White. I was just kind of annoyed by it. I'm not also a huge Eddie Kingston in-ring fan, so this match didn't do a whole lot for me. It's fine. It's a storyline with Jay White leaving. If you had to put a number on the odds, a percentage.
Yeah.
Which way do you lean, WWE or AEW?
WWE.
For Jay White, really?
Yeah, I lean more WWE than AEW.
Really? By how much? Like a long shot?
I think it's like 90% he shows up in WWE.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think he shows up in AEW.
So what do you make of the rumblings that are going around right now that WWE has a higher priority than Jay White? And if you read between the lines, it's Kenny Omega.
I think they say that because I think they already have Jay White locked up.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any chance they get Kenny Omega right now.
Okay.
I think 10 years from now, 5 years from now, even maybe.
That's
right here, right now. Kenny's not leaving AEW.
That's the thing is like I don't think Kenny's gonna be around much longer. Like I really don't.
No.
So,
but
rumor is that his contract is up right now.
Kenny?
Yes. Yeah. That it's up. That he's basically working off a handshake deal.
Yeah.
But that's what the rumor is. Nothing is confirmed. Which is what Cody did. So, if that's the case, Kenny can walk out the door at any point.
Yeah.
Not saying he's going to.
Which would mess over not only AEW, but New Japan.
But if they drop, the match hasn't been confirmed for Revolution yet, to my knowledge. If they drop those trios titles at Revolution, I'm going to be scratching my head a lot more and really thinking about it a lot more.
I think they dropped those titles for that reason. To make people think
that he's leaving,
and then
he shows
up to face MJF.
Okay.
Like I don't see a world. This is not the Cody situation. I don't see a world where Kenny leaves AEW for WWE right now.
Okay.
Like at this point in time, I don't see it.
I lean that way too, but I also think, especially with not with Cody, but the same situation as Cody.
Yeah.
When else are you gonna do it?
Yeah. See, I think Kenny's I think Kenny's like a Sting. I don't think I think there's a chance he never shows up in WWE.
And that's very possible. Very, very possible. But could you imagine if Cody wins the title at Mania?
Oh, and Cody
the night after Mania or at Mania.
Yeah.
And Kenny comes out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It'd be crazy if we had Jay White, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, and Finn Balor all in the same company at the same time.
Oof.
And that fatal four-way needs to happen.
For sure it does. All right, let's move on to the main event here of New Japan. Okada and Tanahashi. An incredible match. Commentary referred to this as Jordan versus Bird, not Berg.
Yeah.
Jordan versus Bird-esque.
Yep.
Please explain to me why I should consider it being that.
This is New Japan's version of like
Brock and Roman? Or better?
No, better. Like Stone Cold Rock.
Really?
Yeah. Like Tanahashi for a long time was like the John Cena of New Japan.
Okay.
Like the guy, the face of the company. He for those that don't know, Okada was in New Japan I think for a little bit, left and went to TNA. Was in TNA for a while. But was underused heavily because that's, what Jeff Jarrett and them did in TNA was underused the best talent they had. And then he went...
Not AJ Styles and Samoa Joe.
2 out of how many?
Sting and Kurt Angle.
Sting and Kurt Angle at that time did not need to be the guys of the company. Or Hogan. Hogan was also a guy of the company. And
Well,
Flair.
that Hogan thing, that's not.
Remember, my first introduction to Sting was Joker Sting.
I know, but the Hogan situation was out of Jeff Jarrett's hands. He didn't have anything to do with that.
Anyways, he went to
Point.
he went to TNA for a while, and then he came back, and he wrestled Tanahashi for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and beat him, which was like the shock of the decade.
Right.
And then they've had feuds after feuds and matches after matches. They are the two top guys in New Japan.
I got you.
So there's like the big match between these two guys.
I got you. Okay.
And then even after the match, he even said, because like this match is probably never going to happen again, Tanahashi and Okada. But even after the match, he said, well, since this isn't going to happen anymore, why don't we make a dream tag team of the two of us and go get those IWGP World Tag Team Championships too? So they're going after those.
So why did they pick this show to have the match, you think? If this is like the dream match of all dream matches and this is the last one, why do you think they picked this show?
To sell tickets. To get people to go.
Fair enough.
Like if you're going to have the debut of Mercedes Moné, the last match of Jay White, you want to also add, everybody in the States wants to see Okada wrestle.
Right.
They want to see Tanahashi wrestle.
Right.
Might as well put them together for this show.
I gotcha.
Plus, they've wrestled multiple times, and it's like John Cena and Randy Orton. Like,
okay,
we've seen it. But, like, it would be like if that happened, like, in Japan or something like that.
Yeah. I gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. So, really good show, though, by New Japan. We don't break down a lot of their stuff very often, but really good stuff. I felt like with those 3 big-time matches that we kind of needed to talk about it. I was very entertained by what I watched.
The I don't remember who was in it, but the no ropes. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't watch it, but I saw that it was a thing.
Oh boy, it was physical.
Was it Tom Lawler?
Tom Lawler and
don't remember.
Homicide? Was it Homicide?
It was Homicide.
Yeah, Tom Lawler and Homicide. They beat the crap out of each other. It was fantastic.
So, so we don't talk about New Japan very much, but kind of glad that we did. Yep. Thanks for hanging with us. We know we're going a little long on this show, but we got to talk some AEW before we sign off. And the first thing that we'll talk about is the clicking of a pen. It's never been more anticipated, more over. The people love to see it. Glad they were able to bring this back. Jericho and Ricky Starks officially signed for Revolution. We're going to preview Revolution next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So we're not going to get a lot into the weeds on a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But Jericho and Ricky Starks, again?
Let it end. Let this be the last one. Let Ricky win, and we move on.
Yeah. I think you have to.
Ricky needs to win this one.
If he's going to be a superstar, he needs it. You know?
Mm-hmm. Jericho does not need this win. Ricky can get this win, and we can move on.
I agree with Ricky needing the win, but Jericho needs to step his game up in AEW, I think. Like, I don't feel like he's been a big deal with this JAS. Like, he did the Ring of Honor thing, which was fine for the time being, but I just don't feel like that he is the big attraction main eventer. I'm not saying he has to go for the world title, but it's not as big as it once was.
Because I don't think they need him.
You're right.
They don't need Jericho anymore. You're right. It's like a Cody situation. The first couple of years, they needed Cody. They needed Jericho.
Yep.
They don't need Jericho anymore. They've got Moxley. They've got Hangman. They've got Kenny. They've got Adam Cole. They've got the Bucks. They've got FTR for now. They've got Malachi Black, who they're building up. They've got Wardlow, who they're building up. Samoa Joe. Like, they don't need Jericho anymore.
I agree with that. But
does that mean I want him to necessarily leave? No. Like, there's still some matches. Jericho and Sting is still a match I want to see. Mm-hmm. Jericho and Adam Cole is still a match that I really want to see.
Yep.
Jericho and Bryan Danielson again is a match I want to see.
Yep.
Even Jericho and Kenny again. Like, I want them to run that one back. There's a lot of matches I still want Jericho to see, but if he wants to start helping build young stars, which obviously we saw him by eating the pin for Action Andrade, which that's still one of the best things he's done.
Right.
He's got to stop doing these long feuds.
Right.
And start putting guys like Starks over, and then he can go out and win a couple.
Sure.
And then start putting somebody else over.
Yep, I agree. A couple things from the rest of the show. Well, one thing really is Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal winning the Battle Royal to get into the Fatal 4-Way tag.
Yeah.
Looks like we're headed towards we need another babyface team in the Fatal 4-Way for Revolution. Can FTR or the Lucha Brothers?
Probably one of those two.
One of those two.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those two, and whoever's the fourth spot is going to win the titles.
I sure hope so.
I don't think Jeff and Jay are going to win it. I don't think the Acclaimed are going to get it back, and the Guns don't need it. So I think this fourth team, whoever's in it, is the fourth team needs.
So if it's
needs to
FTR, they're probably sticking around for a bit.
That's probably how they get them to stay for a little bit.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Or it could just be a handshake deal again.
Too many handshake deals going on.
I mean, but the thing is, like, people are willing to stick around to finish the feud. They're not just going to leave people high and dry,
Sure,
which I'm good with.
I agree with that. All right, the main event of Dynamite this past week: Jon Moxley and Evil Uno. Win number 100 for Jon Moxley, and what a way to do it.
Evil Uno reminded people that, I'm pretty good at this wrestling thing too. Like, this match was really good, really fun. Did not expect Evil Uno to bleed. Right. But boy, when he bled a lot.
He did.
Moxley bled a lot. They beat the crap out of each other. And this added even more intrigue to the Texas Death Match at Revolution.
Oh yeah, I forgot that got confirmed last week.
Yeah.
Did you see what Bully Ray said on Busted Open about Mox?
No. Probably that he bleeds too much.
Yes.
That's what everybody says.
But like now it's a point where it's not special anymore.
Yeah, I think it depends on the match. And who he's in there with. But he doesn't need to do it for every single match he's in.
But now it's every single match.
Yeah. But it's I mean Flair did it.
But Flair did it when the title was on the line in big matches.
Or when he's faking a heart attack.
Or that too.
But yeah, no, I agree. I think Moxley, he will start to cut it down some. I think for this kind of a match, it is what it is. It doesn't bother me as much. Right. Obviously.
Well, none of it bothers you because, you know, that's what you're okay with. And I am too. I'm not opposed to it.
Right.
I just think it needs to be used sparingly.
A Texas death match, if it doesn't have blood, it's useless.
Well, and I don't think Bully was saying that.
No, I know. But a random match on Dynamite. And here's the thing. I don't know if he always blades. He may just bleed really easily. Right. Brock Lesnar's that way. Right. Brock barely hits his head on the turnbuckle and
he's bleeding.
Starts gushing blood.
I know.
So like I don't think like 100% of the time he's bleeding.
Right.
Now, he might bleed very easily because of how much he's bladed.
Yeah, that's true.
He's going to start looking like New Jack's forehead here in a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like I feel like he will tone the blood down.
Yeah.
After this Texas Death Match. I think obviously this match he's going to be bleeding like crazy. Yep. Paige will be bleeding like crazy. And then please just let him go on vacation and we'll be fine.
Do you close Revolution with that match? I know you got the Iron Man match, but do you close it with Mox and Hangman?
I would.
See, I think so too.
I would.
Like, I never liked the world title not being on last, but I think this is a situation where you need to.
I would put the world title on first.
I would do.
Let them take the first hour and then move on throughout the rest of the show.
I agree with that. Because
I don't know of any other I mean, obviously the world title deserves to be main eventing, but these are your two guys. Yep. Like Moxley and Paige are your two guys. I think they could absolutely main event.
I think so too.
Especially in the stipulation that they're in.
I think so too. We'll talk more about Revolution coming up next week on our full preview. We're going to break that down just like we do all of our other pay-per-views. But next week, we have a very special guest, our friend who you saw in the intro of the video and who you're seeing right now, Mr. Rosario Grillo from the greatest tag team of all time, TSF, is going to join us on the show. We're going to get his thoughts on everything WWE, everything AEW, catch up how he's doing with his recovery from his injury.
Yep.
All of those kind of things. We're excited for Grillo to hop on the show with us. It's going to be a blast. Can't wait for him to join us. Can't wait to hear from you on social media at PBW Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok. And follow Andy at Andy_PBWP. I'm at Chris Belcher 24. Subscribe to the PBWF feed as well, Pipe Bomb Wrestling Federation, our fantasy booking podcast. It's on a separate feed, available in all the same places, so make sure you subscribe there. Hit that like button on the Body Slam Dynamite YouTube channel, and hit that subscribe button if you are not. Anything else, man?
No, man, just great week of wrestling and
busy week of wrestling.
And it's just going to get busier and busier as we head into Revolution and WrestleMania. Then we're really off and running after that.
We really are, because before you know it, Backlash will be here. Double or Nothing's going to be here, and
Money in the Bank,
SummerSlam, here. SummerSlam,
All Out,
Forbidden Door before that.
Yep.
I mean, we're rocking and rolling at this point. We really are. I appreciate you guys hanging with us. For Mr. Andy York, my name's Chris Belcher. This has been the Pipe Bomb Wrestling Podcast. We will catch you guys down the road.